In the 1970s, Oscar Gamble famously had the biggest, most beautiful head of hair in all of Major League Baseball. And I want to spend a couple minutes telling you about Oscar's baseball playing career and why in 1975 the big bad New York Yankees forced him to get a haircut. Despite having never played high school baseball, the Chicago Cubs in 1968 decided to pick him in the 16th round of that year's draft. Many in the Cubs organization thought that Gamble was the best prospect the Cubs had ever had since Ernie Banks, which is why it was such a surprise to so many people when they traded him to the Philadelphia Phillies. Shortly after he was traded, the Chicago Sun-Times reported that ownership with the Cubs was upset with Gamble because he was dating white women, and that's why he was traded. Oscar Gamble played for the Phillies for a few years, and probably his biggest claim to fame with the Phillies was having the last ever hit in the history of Connie Mack Stadium. After the Phillies, he landed with the Cleveland Indians, bought a disco, and that's when he decided to start growing his hair out. He became a favorite with the fans because of his hair, and I read that sometimes while running, there was so much pressure on his hat from his hair that his hat or his baseball cap would just fall right off. In the winter of 1975, that's when the New York Yankees traded for him, and that's where this story, to me, gets kind of interesting. When he arrived at spring training with the New York Yankees, he was told by manager Billy Martin that per owner George Steinbrenner, he was not allowed to put on a New York Yankees uniform until he got a haircut. And the problem with that is it was a Sunday and all the local barbershops were closed, so the New York Yankees had to pay triple to have a barber come out to the stadium and give Oscar Gamble a haircut. And why did George Steinbrenner force Oscar Gamble to get a haircut? Because his hair violated the Yankees' policy against facial hair, beards, long hair, and large afros. Getting a haircut was a tiny bit upsetting to Oscar Gamble because he had an endorsement deal with Afro Sheen, and the endorsement deal was null and void if he were to get a haircut. To George Steinbrenner's credit, he paid Oscar Gamble the money that he would have received from the endorsement money. So this is Oscar's 1975 card with the Cleveland Indians, and you can see his big afro puffing out from under his helmet. And then here's his 1976 card with the New York Yankees, again with the big afro puffing out even more. And you're probably wondering if he wasn't allowed to wear a New York Yankees uniform before he got a haircut. How is this picture possible? Well, the good folks at Topps took the picture, and if you look closely, you can see the helmet and the pinstripes of the uniform are all painted on. So he never wore a New York Yankees uniform with that hair. And this here is his 1977 New York Yankees card, and you can see it was taken after he got the haircut. So with the Yankees, he actually played pretty well. The dimensions of Yankee Stadium fit his hitting style, and he had a good season. But despite that, the Yankees traded him to the Chicago White Sox that year for a guy that some of you older Yankees fans will know, a young shortstop named Bucky Dent. Oscar played great with the White Sox. He hit 31 home runs. Then he eventually ended up with the Texas Rangers, where one year he hit 335. And then, lo and behold, he found himself back with the New York Yankees in 1979. He played with the Yankees for quite a few years, much to the chagrin of owner George Steinbrenner, because in 1982 he wanted to trade Oscar Gamble back to the Texas Rangers. Oscar Gamble didn't want to go, and Oscar invoked his no trade clause and vetoed the trade, which was very upsetting to Steinbrenner, and he told manager Billy Martin to play Oscar Gamble as little as possible. Well, Billy Martin would have none of that because Oscar Gamble was playing pretty well for him, so he ignored that order. Oscar Gamble had another great season in 82. He had 18 home runs, and he hit like 360-something against left-handed pitching. I'm terrible at trying to remember numbers. It was actually 382 he hit in 82 against left-handed pitching. And then shortly after that season, Oscar's bat started to slow down. He played a couple more years in the majors, but that was about it. But he did stick around long enough to hit his 200th career home run. So after Oscar retired, he opened a sporting goods store, and the ironic thing about his post-baseball career is that, like all good men, like myself, that used to have beautiful hair, most of his hair ended up falling out, and he reverted to shaving it. Oscar Gamble passed away in 2018 at the young age of 68, and at the time of his passing, New York Yankees legend Goose Gossage, in reference to Oscar Gamble's personality and sense of humor, said that he had played with 9 different teams and had lots of different teammates, but they didn't come any better than Oscar Gamble. So, as you guys can see, I am at the cabin here in Hammondsport, New York. It is so delightful here. It's my happy place. I don't know if you can see birds flying back and forth or not, but it's so nice here. So Hammondsport's in the Finger Lakes region of central New York State, and the weather is beautiful. It's supposed to be 70 here today, which is pretty good for this time of year. Went for a 44-mile bike ride around Cuco Lake yesterday, which is pretty good for an old guy. And today, I got to figure out how to get this video edited and posted. I'm not sure if I'll be able to. There's no Wi-Fi here at the cabin. So I'm going to go down to the local library and see what kind of magic they can work for me. Everybody else, I hope you're having as wonderful a weekend as I am. And as always, do the best you can and have a good day.